The skyline of London is changing and evolving at absolutely extraordinary speed. It is like an accelerated David Attenborough nature film about the return of spring to the Canadian tundra. Wonderful structures are going up. All prices across London have gone up by 20% in the last year. The result is that we face a colossal demand for homes that are affordable for all Londoners.
Regeneration means money for the fat cats. That's what it means.
The original dream of council houses was to build homes for heroes, moving the working classes out of overcrowded slums and into revolutionary architecture, offering running water and futuristic streets in the sky.
When we come here, I'll talk to it in a minute, when I was looking out there and see all that green, oh, I thought, isn't it lovely? Well, of a night time, it's just exactly like fairyland.
But today, the post-war dream of urban renewal has turned sour. The number of council houses in London has fallen by a third in the last 20 years, despite 1 million more people living here.
We don't have enough homes, full stop, right across the entire economy. That affects everyone. There's a real pinch point with affordability, and we certainly don't have enough affordable homes.
The council estates we do have are gradually being emptied. People are being forced out by local councils to allow for redevelopment of the land. The highest bidders are winning, but the people are fighting back.
All they give a shit about is making fucking money.
In recent months, a group of London mums have started a campaign for truly affordable housing. Their campaign has caught the imagination of the media and public alike and has sparked fires all across the city. One of the areas undergoing a lot of regeneration at the moment is East London. The Borough of Newham has a housing waiting list of over 16,000 people. The council have said that because the refurbishment is too expensive, the estate is no longer viable and they are currently seeking a partner to help finance the regeneration. In the meantime, people are being rehoused in temporary accommodation where waiting lists are long, or they're moved into towns far away from London.
In 2013, my mum, sister and I were evicted from our family home of 13 years. We had to declare ourselves statutory homeless and then move into temporary accommodation where we were waiting for a year. It was a really, really tough time being told that you had to wait in order to have somewhere to live. So when I see lots and lots of empty homes like this going unlived in, it really, really strikes a chord with me.
I'm standing on the 22nd floor of one of the tower blocks on the Carpenters Estate in Stratford. It's only up here that you can see why it's become such prime real estate. We've got Westfield Shopping Centre, we've got 10 train lines, so insanely good transport links. And then round the corner is the Olympic site. And if you come through here, this is what's happened to the flats. I think like 2006, families started being moved out. And now it's pretty much like desolate. And this is just an example of what's happening on every single floor. It actually could be the homes of 134 families, but currently there's only 31 flats being used. All the rest are just like locked up. If you look through the keyhole, you can see that through the big window, directly opposite, an amazing view of the Olympic Park. There's all mats down as well, carpet. These aren't empty shells. This was someone's home. You know, so there's been a family that have chosen that carpet, they've chosen the wallpaper and they've made a home. Chris, if you come and see this Just Gone shop, won't be long, 12th of the 1st, 2006. That's a long time that these flats have been empty. Just seems such a shame when we hear from politicians and newspapers that we're in the midst of a housing crisis, there just aren't enough homes, that there are all these flats on numerous floors that are going unlived in. This video was designed for a Chinese expo in 2010, offering up 1,000 hectares of Newham land as an investment opportunity.
It's interesting, isn't it, seeing the amount of luxury home development. The developers who are building them make the biggest profit. From a local government point of view, if it's on land that they own, that's the way that they get the biggest capital receipt. And local authorities in London, as everywhere else in the country, are under huge financial pressure. It's not a surprise that they want to make the best use of the assets. I do think it's short-sighted though. We need good economic mix. London cannot afford to export the majority of its people and become an enclave for the wealthy. It will not function if that's the case.
I'm about to meet the Focus E15 mums who have politically occupied one of the houses on Carpenters Estate to try and draw national attention to the issue.
The Focus E15 campaigners had set the occupation up like a social centre to put the community back into the ghost town. The Mayor of Newham, Sir Robin Wells, has been cast as the villain in the Mums campaign. Sir Robin Wells has said that the properties are not fit for housing. However, Newham, like other councils, have increasing power under the Localism Act to take advantage of the rising land value in their borough. Outside, I met Jamie, who had gone through her own housing struggles and had come down to show support.
So who do you think London's for now?
Everybody. As I say, don't close the doors, man. Everybody's welcome. I'm not going to hate anybody because they have wealth. There's no problem with anybody coming here. Just don't push me out. There is enough space for everybody. It's evident. Like
All the empty flats.
All the empty flats. If you can build high rises, you can build more. Just build more that I can live in, that I can afford. I'm not saying don't cater for people that are going to come here and invest in the place. I'm just saying please don't make me leave. Or, no, do you know what? No please anymore. I'm not going. Soz.
So after opening up this property about a week and a half ago, they found out that the properties were obviously completely habitable. And now they've put this sign up, which is council homes available, and call Robin Wells. That's his number.
Jasmine Stone is one of the Focus E15 mothers leading the occupation. She's been campaigning for council housing ever since she was evicted from temporary accommodation last year.
Where did the idea for the campaign come from? Like this is going to be a social centre, it's like the centre of Carpenters Estate.
Well, there's so many people that are being forced out of London to places like Manchester, Hastings and Birmingham. So we thought we would highlight the issue of there being so many homes boarded up for years on end. Some of the properties on this estate have been empty for over 8 years. I'll show you the show flat. This would have been a 1-bedroom flat. This would have been the first bedroom.
This is crazy.
This would have been the living room. The wallpaper was already here, the carpet and the rug were here, and we put in the furniture.
After we'd lived in a hostel and they gave us a flat, this is like better than when we first moved in. So you've got ideal view here.
Yeah, this is in the shadow of the Olympic Park. It's obvious what's happening. Like they're trying to demolish everything, and if you have a look around, you see all these big, giant glass buildings that nobody can afford in the local area. Since this occupation, we were actually told by the council that we prevented them putting people in here. They've been empty for 8 years, and apparently we were the ones that stopped them over the last 2 weeks.
It's basically just saying that your land is worth more than you.
Yeah, exactly. There's people that have created memories here and they've given birth to their children, and these homes are people's lives. And by taking someone's home away from them, they're taking their life away.
The mothers weren't the only ones wanting to stay in London. 15-year-old Saffron had also joined the fight back.
No 15 or 14-year-old should actually think, fuck, we're getting moved out of London. They should be going to school, they should be playing with their friends and doing what they want. Where the hell am I going to be put? Am I going to be living on the street? Am I going to be in a care home? No one wants to live in a council property. Absolutely no one. But if that's all you're given, then that's what you're going to make home. And if to take it away from someone, that's not fair.
This campaign, there was something so new and so fresh about it. First of all, they've shown that there are homes, people just need to be put in them. Then they've wiped away the excuse of Robin Wells, who said that they were unlivable, because if you look around, people could make a home there. In a situation when you do feel desperate and alone, these mums represent something really, really inspiring and really, really exciting, because they're actually fighting back.
Repopulate the Carpenters Estate! Repopulate the Carpenters Estate!
The occupation attracted the attention of 2 local councillors who decided to come down and show their face.
Social rent is probably about 50%, half of market rents. There's 24,000 people in this borough out of 300,000 households who are in desperate housing need. And
it's a huge number, isn't it?
It's a huge number. The big issue is there is a housing crisis in London, in this country, and it's an affordability crisis. If you've got money, you can find somewhere to live. If you haven't got money, you've got nowhere to live. If we're going to build homes that these young people and their children want and deserve at a price they can afford, well, somebody's going to have to pay for that.
The wider problem is recycling. When properties become vacant, getting them ready and getting the legal possibility for people to come in and live there.
After occupying the building for a week and a half, the Focus E15 mothers were handed an eviction notice from the council. With council estates quickly becoming prime real estate, I wanted to go to the decision-making epicentre to try and meet some of the big dogs who have the power to turn council housing into glossy mega towers. Today is the day of MIPIM, which is the property trade fair in Kensington Olympia. There's going to be a keynote speech by Boris Johnson to kickstart it all off. There's going to be property developers there. So I'm getting my glad rags on. I feel like Eliza Doolittle from My Fair Lady, and I'm going to get in there, look all posh, and then I'll drink champagne and suddenly fall over on a table. It's going to be so fun. It's way to MIPIM UK. Lovely. 2014 was the first year MIPIM, usually held in Cannes, was hosted in London. This is where developers, councillors and investors network and strike deals. Outside, there was a counter #BlockBoris demo led by different housing action groups to try and stop the conference from going ahead. Outside, you can already see the #BlockBoris campaign, which is basically all the people that I've met so far. They're all out there. There's people from the E15 mums and from Carpenters Estate. I'm about to walk past them and go inside. On the inside, it was like a completely separate world, like a boozy property Disneyland. Basically, they're obviously trying to buy my love because at every stall there's something delicious. Great.
There we go.
Thank you.
No worries.
Cheers.
There is a kind of great plan to improve housing, to look at these areas that have traditionally been pretty shoddy, like Elephant and Castle, and really bring it up so London is 21st century. How do you describe the Heygate?
Quite a dangerous place to be over the years, and certainly at the end of its viable life.
What makes something viable?
Well, a large estate or a large piece of land might need to be propped up by valuable uses, and that valuable use might be private residential, it might be office space, it might be retail space or restaurant. So it's whatever makes the most money at that particular point.
All spruced up for Boris, I took my seat for his well-rehearsed sermon.
And the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson.
Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to see you here in London, as our host has very kindly said already, the property capital of the world. I thought MIPIM is, was it Men in Property in the Mediterranean, or Meet Me in the Pool in a Minute, I thought was what MIPIM stands for. And they're listening outside as well. I sincerely hope they are. All prices across London have gone up by 20% in the last year, according to the Financial Times. And I think you'll agree that is in many ways a compliment to London. It's a sign of success, isn't it? And I just say finally to all those slightly xenophobic left-wing commentators, some of whom seem to be assembled outside, apparently. I haven't seen them. They didn't seem to be when I turned up. I don't want necessarily to kick... I don't want at all to expel any oligarchs from the planet Zog. And I stress, most of my relatives turn out to come from Zog anyway. London thrives on being an international city. We need to welcome international investment to our city.
Boris wasn't alone in getting excited about foreign investment into the capital. Soaring house prices mean that London property is now considered a safe investment all over the world. It's estimated that around 2/3 of new homes in the city are bought up by foreign investors. This brings heavy competition to the buyer's market, making land values skyrocket to record levels.
London is a world city. People want to be here. It's one of the economic drivers of our country. If you need an income of 100,000 or more a year, as is now the case, if you want to be a first-time buyer, then very soon people will just not be able to afford to live here.
Our city! City!
The consultants, the lawyers. We've got to build homes for hundreds of thousands of people. The hundreds of thousands of people who actually make this city work, and on whom the economy of the whole of the UK depends.
The protesters are trying to get in, so they've had to close down the shutters. There's a line of police across the front. A lot of people are kind of looking quite bewildered and confused. I think a lot of people in here are unaware why they're protesting outside.
Get yourself back! Our city!
Really sick, like I want to throw up everywhere, because I feel so strongly from experience for those people, and I understand and empathise with where they're coming from on the outside. And a lot of people I know, it's really hard to be standing on the inside schmoozing and drinking champagne.
From across the room, I spotted Stephen Platts. He'd recently led a controversial eviction of the Heygate Estate.
In terms of regeneration and why it is feared, I think it is a fear of change, and it's a fear of the unknown. And I think when you propose change, quite rightly, residents, businesses, people impacted by those changes are very resistant, are worried about how it will impact on their lives. People in the profession have to explain what the benefits of regeneration is, and it's not just about shiny buildings and increased property prices. We've got to make sure we've got our rehousing offer right, so it enables people to actually stay in the area and benefit from the regeneration. And to be quite honest, I don't think the offer's been strong enough in the past, or we haven't explained what that offer is.
Regeneration is completely central to London's ability to reinvent itself and recreate itself. It's not the idea of regeneration that's the problem, it's the way that we've done it and the way that we've allowed the wealthy to walk away with the spoils and not invest in ensuring that we also have affordable homes for ordinary people who need to live and work in London.
It's the end of the day. I've spent hours schmoozing, discussing the future of London, and it's very easy from both sides of the story to kind of create these two-dimensional figures. But I think the people in here need to realise the realities of when they kind of talk about these fancy new regenerations, which they're probably really proud of. It doesn't mean that they couldn't empathise with the people outside. And then outside, it's very hard to empathise with the people inside because you just think they're people knocking down and taking their homes. I think it's about like having conversation and bringing a sense of realism back to these very two disparate sides, one which is making money and one which is fighting for people's homes.
This is the Heygate Estate. It housed 1,200 council families but was deemed non-viable and demolished last year. The Heygate Estate is part of a £3 billion grand regeneration of Elephant and Castle. Aylesbury Estate, just down the road, is one of the largest council estates in Europe and is next in line for demolition. Jerry Flynn and his family used to live on the Heygate until they were moved off to make way for the demolition. Southwark Council had promised Heygate residents that they would be moved onto new homes called early housing sites.
So when was the realisation that what you had been promised initially had been broken?
I think we all came to the realisation at different times. I mean, the big realisation was in 2007. I think when Southwark Council says, right, you've got to move out, and they hadn't built any of the early housing sites, I think everybody realised then they'd been stuffed, frankly. Social housing does not make the developer money. And so on the Heygate Estate, where we had 1,200 council homes, we're only going to get 79 social rented homes. And that's when they're doubling the amount of homes they're building on the estate. It is something that I look upon, and I think a lot of other people do look upon, as the beginning of a regeneration in which we have no part.
Yeah, I think you can see over here a great pile of rubble just behind those trees there. I think that might have been once where I lived. I mean, some people seem to think that it's all to the goods, you know, that pretty ugly place, knock it down, you're doing everybody a great favour. But obviously, if these are homes where people lived and they were the only homes that they could afford, you're doing nobody a favour.
After receiving a compulsory purchase order, the Heygate leaseholders were forced to move out and buy elsewhere. These lines represent where each leaseholder household moved to. The money they received for their homes was not enough to buy in the local area, so they were pushed further out of London. Southwark Council said the economic downturn had a huge impact on the speed with which they could complete the new housing sites. They say thousands more homes of every kind and of the highest quality will replace and exceed what existed before. I managed to get an appointment with the head of the London Assembly at City Hall. Darren Johnson is leading an investigation into the council estate demolitions.
We're there to hold the mayor to account and to speak up for Londoners.
Boris has said that in order to solve the housing crisis, we need to build more homes. That has now become almost part of the rhetoric to justify regeneration of London housing estates.
Well, the mayor has taken a totally simplistic approach. He said it is just a matter of supply and demand, and that all you need to do is build, build, build. It doesn't matter what type of housing you're building, whether it's luxury apartments that only oligarchs and billionaires can afford, or council housing, whatever. You just need to get the numbers up, and that will solve the problem. Sadly, it's not the case at all. We can't just build our way out of this problem. We need to ensure that we have the right sort of housing, and that we also put in place other measures as well, like introducing rent controls in the private rented sector, which can help protect tenants there. We are seeing some perverse decisions actually in terms of estates, perfectly viable, serviceable estates that get demolished as part of some regeneration project. I really do see it as a sort of social cleansing, really.
So if we take, for example, what's happened on the Heygate estate, promises were broken.
It's just an absolute outrage. I just think it's one of the worst examples of what's happening to social housing here in London.
I found a couple of adverts for Heygate Estate, renamed Elephant Park, being advertised in Asia. Developers will often advertise developments abroad off-plan in order to finance the rest of the construction.
A lot of these properties are being bought not to live in, but as investments by people, rich people all over the world. We need investment into the United Kingdom, but investing in homes and then keeping them lying empty when a homeless family could be using it, that's a disgrace.
The Heygate is one of many regeneration estates. Right now, there are over 70 housing struggles happening all over London. One of those is West Hendon. 85-year-old Renee has lived on West Hendon Estate for over 30 years and has been served with a compulsory purchase order. That means she has no choice but to move out.
So your mum's been told that she needs to leave and move out next year, without a choice?
Without a choice, yeah. Yeah. You know, the old lady next door, they've been here for years, and both of them have said, we want to die here. This is our home. We want to die here, and of course they do. You know, they've got the community that looks after them. They had a lovely outlook before they started building out there, and all you can see is wooden fences up there, so you can't actually see anything. You've got all day long lorries coming backwards and forwards, and this is what she's got to, you know, not only her but everyone around here have had to put up with.
I've been very depressed because sometimes I sit here and think of nothing else. At my age, to up and go somewhere else, it's really heartbreaking. If I don't know anybody, I've got to go into a different one. And don't know anybody, don't know what the place would be like.
I'm fighting for my mum and I'm fighting for everyone else on this estate. Oh, actually, I'm fighting for everyone that lives on a council estate and is going through this at the moment. Yeah, we're all fighting for each other, and that's the way it should be.
How do you think it's best to fight?
Hit them where it hurts, in the pocket. That's the best way. Stop the work going on, costing them money. No lorries can come in and out, it's costing them money.
What are you doing today?
I will be de-locked to the gates of the building sites by the neck. I don't know how long for or what it's going to be like, but it should be fun.
Them people are the hero, them work hard every day. Them are the working class people, them preachers say. Say if you work every day for your hard-earned cash, raise your glass to the working class.
With the others distracting security, Glynis gets ready to lock herself to the gate.
All right, it's good, we're good to go. Right.
The police turn up, but the key has disappeared. All across London, people have been invigorated with an activist spirit, from the Radical Housing Network right through to people that have never associated with that term before.
I take the bus past the Heygate Estate every day for a year, and I just got incredibly depressed about it. Selling off public land is irreversible. It's going to rocket in price as soon as it's sold. It's an agenda to have a London that's a little bit less rowdy, but monocultural in a way.
Back in East London, a group of mums, the Focus E15 campaigners, fight an eviction notice served by the council. Today is the final hearing. There's already a lot of people gathering. It's only 9:30 in the morning, and I imagine it's going to get a lot busier. Go mummies!
Council housing is a right. Here to stay, here to fight.
After a long and heated debate, the council agreed to allow the mums to leave peacefully on their own terms. The mummies had pulled off a huge feat. They'd successfully put a social agenda that people could identify with into the limelight.
This is the beginning of the end of the housing crisis.
All of a sudden, every media outlet wanted to talk about the thing that had been going unnoticed for years. It felt like something big, and ordinary people are leading the fight back.
Here to stay, here to fight.
I'm not going anywhere, so hey.
Right.
Yeah. If I do actually get nicked, please someone go and tell my mum about the baby.
When we put profit over people, it has huge and catastrophic effects on people's lives. I really think the idea of social was lost long ago in the 80s. And if regeneration is going to happen, then we need to make sure that councils, developers and central government are taking responsibility, and that regeneration is about the residents that already live there. Otherwise, who is regeneration really for?
Raise your glass to the working class. So put your cup in the air 'cause it's Friday at last. Raise your glass to the working class.
It's really quiet and like quite ghosty, isn't it?
Raise your glass to the working class.
It's really creepy. I feel like I'm in like Blair Witch Project or something. Someone's going to jump out on me. Ta-da!
Raise your glass to the working class. So put your cup in the air 'cause it's Friday at last. Raise your glass to